Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with just a announcement to make for 2016. I'm going to try to take 2016 a lot more serious when it comes to YouTube and the channel and whatnot. So this is just going to be an introductory video to revitalizing a series that I used to. In fact, this was one of my very first series on the Rogue Deck Builder channel. That I made clear back 3 years ago when I started the channel, was a weekly episode called the Rogue Market, which used to track different prices from the various formats. Like I did a standard one, I did a modern one, I did a kind of casual Rogue Market, where I'd make some picks, and then about a month later, 2 months later, as a rotation later, we'd look back at my picks and see how well I did. I'd also make some predictions on other cards and or review cards that had gone up a lot. And I did that because, long story short, I don't have the most disposable income. And being a competitive player, especially a rogue brewer, is incredibly expensive. I need a lot of different cards to work with because I'm brewing a ton of decks. I'm not like your typical Spike that just builds one deck and sticks with it. Like, I have some Spike friends that have their foiled out, like Jund decks, for example. I met a guy that had a completely foiled out Merfolk deck because he was dead set on that was his deck and that's the deck he played. And he was very good at the Merfolk. I mean, but he had very little experience outside of playing Merfolk in Modern and didn't really have the need or care to do that. But as a rogue deck builder, where I'm switching up decks every usually daily, it's Magic the Gathering is incredibly expensive. Now, a little bit of backstory to how I got into speculation too is I used to be a high trader. I mean, this is I like to tell this story because I still think that smartphones ruined trading for Magic the Gathering because it put like a value, this arbitrary value that actually vendors put on cards rather than like your local market or your local meta puts on prices. See, growing up in Salt Lake City like a decade ago, this was back when Kamigawa and Ravnica were out, there used to be a different, like, we had no legacy players in the area. It was all standard. In fact, if a card wasn't standard playable, its value here was even worse than it was outside of. We actually had a decent casual group too. So I would go to the different groups. I'd go to the casual players and trade them the casual cards for standard cards, and then go to the standard players and trade standard cards for casual, and just keep trading up. I remember I went to a Grand Prix back in, it was held at the fairgrounds, and I think it was actually a pre-release, but it was an insanely, this is when like pre-releases were only given, I think only given to like one person. I don't know how they did it, but I think one vendor could get this official pre-release, and it was huge. I mean, there was like 1,000 people. It was, well, probably not 1,000. That's probably exaggerating. But the entire, what's called the fairgrounds in Salt Lake City, there's two buildings there, and they're completely full of Magic players. And I remember I didn't even play in any pre-releases or events. All I did was went around and traded, and I remember trading specifically like the Loxodon and Hierarch for Dark Confidants. I was like, I would target the Loxodon and Hierarch from casual players, and then go to competitive players because it's one of the biggest cards at the time, and trade it for casual cards or Dark Confidants, because Dark Confidants at the time were seeing zero play in Standard, but they were already seeing play in Legacy. So I remember that I made, I think it was somewhere up to like $2,000 of up trading in that day. And it's really impossible to do that nowadays with smartphones because everyone is just checking prices. But that's not to say that you can't still make a good increase. You have to go on to speculation rather on savvy trades now with the smartphone era. But so you can see right now here, I've got, there's 4 sites that let me finish my story real quick before I go on to it. So anyway, I had, as a college student and as kind of I'd even consider myself more of a casual trader, like more of a casual player. By the time that before my collection was stolen, I would say my collection was worth around $8,000, and I didn't spend. I have this rule. I had the rule back in the day never to buy booster packs. I'd always just buy singles. I was on a very strict budget to do so, and it was all through trading that I was able to amass an $8,000 collection. Lo and behold, one day I had left my cards in my car, in my driveway, mind you, and someone had broken my windows and stolen the backpacks in my car, and I lost $8,000 worth of inventory. I have the full story somewhere on Rogue Deck where I've talked about it before. It was just devastating. At the time, my dog was had a tumor. We thought he had cancer. He had a huge tumor that was blocking his small intestine. So it was we had to get it removed, and I was trying to, I think the procedure would have cost like $900. And so I was trying to gather up all my Magic cards. So I didn't have the $900 at the time, and I was going to go and sell them. And so all the cards were in my backpack, and that's just Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. To just like punch a guy that's already down. The cards that were there to for my dog's procedure were stolen, and it was just an awful time in my life. In fact, I quit Magic for a while. My family actually stepped in and helped me with my dog. Unfortunately, my dog didn't survive the surgery, and so that was even more of just a horrible, awful time in my life with all that going on. But I decided that I wasn't going to let some jerks ruin my Magic experience, and I got back in. And one of the ways I got back in on Magic was, I think it was the rotation of Scars of Mirrodin into Theros, no, into Innistrad, excuse me. And the card Hellrider was a bulk rare, and you could pick up Hellriders from both casual and competitive players for around like 30-40 cents. In fact, some people just throw it in as a trade. Like you'd be close to a trade and be like, well, how about throwing those Hellriders? And I'm like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. I just want to trade with you. And then come rotation, Hellrider was in the #1 deck. It was a red deck wins type strategy, and it went all the way up to, I believe, up to 11 when I got out of it. So I traded it around 30 cents and traded out at $11. And it helped me get my collection back going. I did that again with like Inkmoth Nexus. I bought into Inkmoth Nexus at $3. I bought into a lot of like Birthing Pods at really low and sold them high. Just say the Mox Opals I got in at around $15 and sold them for around $50. I mean, like I can tell you, humble brag about a lot of the cards that I've been able to spec rightly, and there's no like science to it. Like the whole thing is rotation. You just got to have rotation in mind, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this episode. So if you're still with me after this entire long rant, or I guess ramble, not quite a rant, I'm going to show you my I guess there's four websites that I use pretty religiously to try to gauge the market value. And the first one is MTG Goldfish because it uses TCG player data, and it's nice, and it got these breakdowns here. Like right now I'm on the daily change for Modern, and you can see, like, look at Gaddock Teeg. This has been a buyout plus $54. It's now $68.99 for a Gaddock Teeg. Wow. Missed that boat big time. So someone this is usually there's like a collaboration. What do we want to call them? A cartel of buyers that buy out certain stock at the same time and just drive up the price. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's just part of the Magic the Gathering world. I have Ugin. This is why I'm making this video, because I'm kicking myself big time here, because I knew this card was going to spike as soon as Morton introduced me to the Eldrazi Black deck. I knew this was going to be a hit, and it's just going to get better with the with Oath of the Gatewatch even having more devoid cards. So probably missed the boat on Eye of Ugin. It is now up to $14. Are you kidding me? And yeah, so this is why I'm going to get back to speculating. Now, here's the problem with speculation at the moment, but I guess you don't even have to have the capital to speculate. Me and my buddy opened up a store, Gone Rogue Games in Richfield, Utah. All of my disposable income is going into the store, trying to better the store, trying to get more inventory for the store. We're trying to build up the store. And so I have very little money to actually speculate as part of my, my hobby back then, but I'm still going to produce the videos. I'm still going to speculate as needed. So my biggest, I guess, speculation that I did on the channel is I told everyone to get into Stony Silences. So let's just bring up Stony Silence right now. So Stony Silence is currently $5.60. I'm kind of kicking myself on this because I bought in, and this is when I told everyone to buy in, was clear back here at 0.5. You can actually go back and check my videos, and I said, hey, buy into Stony Silences. They're going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy. It was like at the time I was looking at you can actually go over to DAX and then, let's see here, Format Staples. And at the time when I spec'd into it, I went over here into Modern to Format Staples and looked at the top spells. Overall, I think it was overall used cards, and Spellskite was number 8 at the time. I'm like, this is or not Spellskite, excuse me, Stony Silence. See, there you go, perfect. Stony Silence is number 8 of the top spells. Exactly, this is how it was a year or 2 years ago when I spec'd into it. And I'm like, this is, for a 5-cent card being the 8th most played spell in Modern, it has to go up. And so I bought 300 copies of Stony Silence, and basically for the last year of 2015, I have been living off of my Stony Silences. I think I finally sold. I was selling them from, I would say, from Modern Masters on, for around 2 tickets a piece. And I think I finally sold them all out at around 3 tickets. Now, again, I'm kicking myself. I sold them all out right before this when Innistrad Flashback drafts were announced, because I'm like, man, Innistrad Flashback is just going to flood the market with Stony Silences, and I just want to get out of them. And I made the right move here. I sold out about, like, 3 or 2.75 of the rest of my Stony Silences, and they did drop down to 1.4 again. But as you can see, 5.6 tickets again in MTGO. So there's a lot of money to be made on speculation on just the right cards, and it's just been a steady progress in paper. In fact, you might even have these in your bulk binder. A lot of people still do with the Stony Silences. Have no clue that these are worth so much, and the reason is it just hoses out a lot of strategies in Modern. It's really tough for Affinity to be. It's annoying for Tron, and especially anything that like Skred Red. This card is insanely annoying. It doesn't win the game like it does a lot of times versus Affinity, but it makes it very hard for Skred to cycle through a lot of the artifacts they use, and just a miserable card if you're using artifacts to deal with. So why I'm really upset that I didn't have the foresight. Well, actually did have the foresight. Morton spec'd into a ton of Iavugans, but I just didn't have the disposable income, of course, being around Christmas time. Just a bad time of year to try to speculate. And the Iavugans have gone, especially in MTGO, from being a 10-cent card again to up to $4.50. And look at paper. Papers is down from its low at about $2.50 all the way up to 14. So I'm gonna try to do this weekly again. Try to resurrect this rogue market and make it a little bit snazzy with graphics like I used. So you can go clear back. If you scroll all the way back to the beginning of my YouTube channel, you can see how those videos were. So let's go back to the websites I use. The first one is MTG Goldfish, just because it's got a lot of data that I love, like the format staples. It also has the movers and shakers and just a price list, so you can start to track cards. Also, don't religiously follow these top winners. There are some cards that just slightly go up, and then pretty soon you don't know that they've went from a 50-cent card all the way up to a $4 card. The other website I like to use is MTG Price, because instead of using TCG player data, it tries to incorporate other vendors here, and so you get more of a real market price. So like for example, Arc Champion's going for a lot more on TCG, I believe, than it's going on like some of these vendors. Like this has eBay on here. It also shows you vendors that will buy it. So it'll say Strike Zone buys at 18. Sometimes you can get out of cards cheaper through buy listing them than you can through eBay, because you got to keep in mind with eBay you're going to be paying a fee to eBay, and then you're going to be paying a PayPal fee, and then it's just going to, I mean, there's a lot of fees associating to flipping cards, and that's why I try never to flip cards that are under like $3. And that's why I like MTGO, because there is no fees to flipping cards, other than if you do factor in that if you're going to turn tickets into actual money, which I don't, because I'm still net down tickets with just running a YouTube channel. Tickets are still one of my highest expenses, is buying tickets. So this is a great site just to track like real world prices. It's got Channel Fireball, Troll and Toad, Strike Zone, cool stuff, a bunch of these bigger name vendors on here. And last but not least is I use MTGstocks.com. MTG Stocks I really only use for this all-time high-low. This is where I really think that this website shines, is you can look at the all-time high, and then these are just like regular stocks. Sometimes you want to sell at their high and get in at their low. So you can look at this and say, okay, look, this doubling season is the highest it's ever been. This is always on the radar for, I think this card is going to be reprinted. It's such a casual favorite. It will sell them box product or sealed product if they include this in a sealed product. And Just a lot of casual players just absolutely this almost everyone in my green decks in Commander wants a doubling season in it. And you can just go through like Exquisite Blood 8. I think this has a high chance of being reprinted. It's just a very, very, very thorough way to look at cards that are their highest price ever and decide, hey, is this a time for me to get out? I think it's Corbin Hostler. He's one of the big time speculators. He has the, I think what he's saying is leave the last 25% for someone else. Because if it's gone up, like if you got into, for example, Birds of Paradise at $1 and they're up to $6, and maybe they have room to grow up to what, $7.50, another 25% increase, leave that for someone else. It's better that you get out of it now and just cash in rather than have to risk a reprint. Because Wizards also looks at this sort of, especially when they're making a box set, they want to be able to sell products. They are a company; they're going to sell products. So they're like, what can I put in a box set that won't warp the playability of the sealed product, and also have people want to buy it like crazy? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's throw a Phyrexian Tower in there. All right, that might actually be on the reserve list. I don't know, but okay, so that'll be great in our little sacrifice deck here that we're gonna build, our pre-constructed deck, and it will get a bunch of people to buy it. All right. That's how they do. We saw a bunch of those in the Commander set, like Black Market was going up a lot, and High Market as well, and they just included those in a few of the Commander sets. Not really because they were that great in the set, but they desperately need a reprint because they were getting up to like what? I think Black Market was up to like over 10. And then what I really like about MC stocks as well is the lows. So this is, you can come in here and be like, what? Blinkbot Nexus is $5.80? Yeah, buy. Blinkbot Nexus is seeing way more play than Eye of Ugin, and there are probably less Blinkbot Nexuses out there than Eye of Ugin. Eye of Ugin was a rare, as well as Blinkbot Nexus. Blinkbot Nexus was in a set that wasn't open nearly as much as the Eye of Ugin. And was this just modern? This is the second modern. Okay, so it was actually printed in both modern masters though. But still, $5.80 for a card that is being run as a 4 of in a deck, I think is something that you should look into buying. Like Modern Masters continues to go down, but I think we're almost to the point where Modern Masters 2 is going to start seeing a recovery. Kiki Jiki, you can even target just the entire Modern Master set and say, all right, this is a time to get in. Dark Confidence is the lowest it's ever been. This conspiracy cards are still going down. One of these days, conspiracy is going to be the set to start speccing into. Council's Judgment is included in so many white commander decks, and I don't think conspiracy is open too heavily. And it's just like remands, $5 and 35 cents might be a good time. I look over this list and I say, okay, is it time for me to get into this particular card or that particular card? Anyway, and lastly, another one to go is just TCGplayer.com. It is between eBay and TCG Player. I would say the vast majority of cards are bought and sold on these two venues. There's no better price data than TCG Player. Yes, the MTG Goldfish does use it, but sometimes it's nice to see, like, you can come over here and then you can look at, like, one of my tricks with TCG, if I'm actually going to buy cards, I don't suggest buying cards. I really suggest trading for cards because you don't have all the fees associated with buying and selling, and it's not cash. But anyway, so you can go into, like, the Eye of Ugins, and you can go item price. So if you're going to buy a bunch of them, sometimes you can find like someone that's selling 40 copies and then the shipping fee is 99 cents. So it's not registering as the lowest copy because there's someone that has free shipping with a lower thing. But if you're going to buy 40 of them, I did this with Tidebinder Mage, which now is going to be such a crappy spec. I spec'd into Tidebinder. Let's see what it's at. This was the greatest speculation ever until they decided to print that Harbinger of Tides has really replaced the Tidebinder Mage. People are still using 3 of them. The Sideburgs is a great way to tap down like the Monastery Swiftspear, as well as anything out of green. Like it's really good against Scavenging Ooze and Tarmogoyf and whatnot. But what an annoying card that they printed and killed my Tidebinder Mage spec, because Tidebinder Mage was 3 of in most main boards when I spec'd into it. Did get in at 65 cents and below, and it has gone up to $1, but I needed to go up to like $3 just to break even. But anyway, this is going to be a great spec. Wait for this card to keep going down, and we'll do a whole video series on what cards I think I should get into. But so I'm just gonna end this video and just say we're gonna try to probably do it on, I don't know, Mondays or Tuesdays. Well, I'll have to see exactly what day that I'm going to resurrect the Rogue Market. I'm going to give you a full schedule. There will be a daily schedule between Twitch, between Gathering Magic, and between RogueDeckBuilder.com. I'm going to be doing probably a video series a day. So you're going to, if you're sick of me, you're going to be very sick of me come February in 2016. So without further ado, though, I'm going to go over this price list here and show you my picks right now that I would spec into. Now, the problem with Battle for Zendikar is this set completely has been opened into oblivion. I mean, this set, people like searching for those expeditions, just crack packs, crack packs, crack packs. I don't know if it is passed up Khans of Tarkir for the most sold set yet, but I'm pretty sure it's close. Also, you get a land in each pack that is worth around roughly 25 cents, 25 to 50 cents, depending on which one. And that really helps the price of a pack when you can guarantee a 25-cent common in each pack. So you can actually look at some of these mythics are already down to 75 cents and below. We have playable cards like Quarantine Field in Mythic that actually do see play right now at a $1.75, and even this Oblivion Sower, which is actually in the event deck, and Omnath Locus of Rage, was a very, very popular commander card that are down to this really, really bulk mythic price, and it's just because of people searching for expeditions. So I'm a little bit weary of that implication, but I do specifically, I think there's some no-brainers here for some cards. Cards like Sunken Hollow, Prairie Stream, Cinderglade. The ones I actually like the most are the ones that say Basic Land Swamp and Basic Land Mountain and Basic Land Forest. I guess all of them. Maybe all of them, because you got to think back into Eternal playability. Cinderglade hits off cards like Valakut because it is a mountain, and just having a dual land type is going to give value to a land. We have the really cool interaction between Cobbled Coffers and any one of the plains, like the Sunken Hollows that already is a swamp for Cobbled Coffers. These are both swamps. And then anything that can tutor up a forest can also tutor up a forest plain. So I use in like my Animar deck, for example, a lot of times with my wooded the Wood Elves. Yeah, that's the card. The Wood Elves I'll go grab. It says go grab a forest card, and that allows me to go grab the Cinderglade in my Animar, as well as my Stomping Grounds or Breeding Pool. And so it's just, I think just having that basic land type onto it is a huge plus for the long term of these cards. But that's not the reason I'm starting to speculate into Cinderglades and whatnot. The reason is these are a 2 of. We'll pull it up here. We'll pull up the, like, Tarka Red, it might be more than a 2 of. But we'll just see it. Even in a 2-color deck, let's see if it's more than a 2 of. Yep, 2 Cinderglades in a deck that uses both red and green. And the reason is it runs 4 Blessing Mires, 4 Wooded Foothills, 2 Windswept Heath. So a total of 10 ways to get the Cinderglades. I've seen other deck lists even use more fetch lands. Let's see here. So 4, 4, 2. No, there seem to be, that's the thing. But there's, like the Jeskai Black, same thing. I think they're using up to 12, 14 fetch lands in the format just to go get their 1-ofs or 2-ofs of their, what do we call these, Tango lands or battle lands. Now that, come rotation, after when Shadows over Innistrad comes out, that is not going to be the case. These are going to go from a 1-of to a 2-ofs, 2-of, 3-ofs to 4-ofs. Mainly it's going to be 4-ofs in these 2-color decks. So that is going to increase the demand by at least 50%. Now there's also the other, right now, that Battle for Zendikar is in what we call its high peak of drafting. People are still drafting Battle for Zendikar. So when they go to Friday Night Magics, when they go to sealed PPTQs, and they go to, I guess they got rid of those, but GPs, they go to sealed Grand Prix, they go to any sort of event that is using sealed product, they're opening Battle for Zendikar. So more of the stock is getting put into the market daily. So more Cinderglades means the demand is going to go down because the supply went up, or the supply is going to outstrip the demand, and then you're left with prices, even though these are great cards being played, still going down. So you see this trend going down. I'm going to target these at $3. Once Cinderglade hits $3, once all of them hits $3, I'm going to buy into these, because after Shadows or after Oath comes out, Oath is going to be drafted more. You're still going to have some Battle for Zendikar being drafted within Oath. I think it's 2-1. I'm not quite sure how they're doing the drafts, and I'm not quite sure what the sealed is going to give as well. But come Shadows for Innistrad, this set's going to be no longer be drafted. Then damaged cards and lost cards, people quitting the game, takes a lot of the supply out of the market. And then new players coming in that didn't buy into Battle for Zendikar need these lands. And the price, that I've already established that these are going to go up by 50% in the demand, because decks that are running 2 of them are now going to be running 4 of them. And then the new players are going to have to pick them up. These are going to go up. I think they're going to go up to around $6 to $8 or $8 to $12 for the more premier ones. If for example, if the Canopy Vista is the premier, if there's like a white-green deck, which is what I'm predicting when looking at the cards that the Survive Rotation, Dragonstar Kier has some very powerful white-green cards, then like the Canopy Vista will go insane in price and go up to like an $8 to $12. So you're gonna triple your money if you go into these. I think this is just a no-brainer, and I don't mind Cinderglades and these Battlelands for the long term, because they are, a few of them are starting to see a bit of play in Modern. They're a budget version of even the Shocklands at this point, but in Commander, every Commander deck's gonna want these. They're great as a one of. So long term, I think these cards are a grand slam. So anyway, that's just a bit of a look into the future of what the rogue market's about. I'll be a lot less scattered, and when I actually do the videos, it's going to be very concise and to the point, which that's saying a lot for me, I know. But if you want to see how that format is, like I said, just Google Rogue Market or search my channel for it, and it's going to be years since I've done these, but usually I put visuals and little graphs and things like that on the Rogue Market. I'm going to try to, one of my goals for 2016 is to up my production. I'm actually going to try to bring on an assistant to help me with editing, and that way you'll have, you know, better videos than me just screenshotting my desktop. So anyway, little other things that you can look for Battle for Zendikar. One thing that I don't think that this is the right time quite yet to spec, I mean it is bulk though, is all of the cards that are currently seen play in that Eldrazi deck. We have the it's going to be the Blightherder. Wherever Blightherder is, it's bulk. Yeah, Blightherder, a bulk rare, is used of 4 of in most Eldrazi builds. We also have the Wasteland Strangler, which is, I believe, bulkish too. Yeah, Wasteland Strangler, which is 60 cents, is used as a 4 of in that deck. We have flavorful cards like Conduit of Ruin that are 68 cents a piece. These are all great to get your play sets right now. Smithing Abomination, this card's insane in Commander, especially with the brand new Commanders. There's a bunch of them that actually want this. The black-green Commander deck is Smothering Abomination is one of the best cards you can get for that deck. And there's just plenty of right at the height of drafting is when you want to get into these cards, or rotation, one of the two. Both of those are going to be when we consider these to be completely bottomed out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. To come in the future, it's a great way if you're a hobbyist in Magic the Gathering. It's a great way to help. I find it fun. Even if you don't find trading and speculating fun, it's still something that can cut the cost of your Magic experience. Like, Magic is expensive, especially now that I've gotten into Commander. I think my Animar deck's worth like $700. It's crazy that I'm spending $700 on a casual deck now. Oh man, I've crossed the threshold of insanity, I think. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this list, or this video. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.